How do you start a podcast?
I don't know.
Welcome everybody to the first episode of the Flex Appeal podcast. Look at that, what an image. ChatGPT definitely didn't contribute at all to that logo. But welcome, this is going to be a fitness, lifestyle and business podcast. My name is Ryan, it's my idea, it's my baby, and this is Charlotte.
Hi.
She's just along for the ride, she's just here for a good time.
Yeah.
Both of us, this is our first time doing a podcast. This is your first time probably on a proper camera.
Yeah.
In a more professional setting, other than being live on TikTok, which we'll get on to shortly, because that's a salty topic. I've actually got a clipboard of things to talk about. Obviously, this is the first episode. What I would like from this podcast is, like I say, to talk about fitness. I am a personal trainer, online coach, soon to be nutritionist, gymfluencer. So, it would be really good for it to be quite fitness orientated and also flex appeal. It's kind of, in the name. But then also lifestyle, because, I'm really into a lot of podcasts that kind of talk about lifestyle and business and mindset and stuff like that. And the idea is that sometimes we'll have guests on quite regularly. I'd like to have guests on, and we'll do some interviews and stuff like that. So we'll crack on to who we are. You'll notice I'll do a lot of the talking now. Yep. Charlotte's very nervous. Right, it's her first time in front of a camera, which isn't on TikTok. So. Yep. You know what? And if you're not watching this on YouTube, then hi, and welcome to hopefully Spotify and whatever else you can put this on. I should have done more research, but I have no idea.
Maybe on something.
What you can do this with. Right, here we go. Look, list of topics. Clipboard, isn't it? Nice and official. Now I'm going to be your therapist.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, young Charlotte, tell me all about you.
I'm training to do my level 3. I'm training to be a personal trainer. I've done my level 2. I'm currently doing my level 3. So I'm hoping to be a personal trainer.
But you want to take a break, you said to me.
Take a break?
When you qualify, you don't want to go straight into working.
Well, I'm not sure because I'm 20, so I don't know if I want to go straight into doing that. I still haven't gone travelling, so that's something I want to do, but I've been saying I want to go travelling for 3 years now and I still haven't, so...
I'll tell you the honest truth. I was actually thinking about this because I was thinking about things to talk about on the podcast. Yeah. The genuine thing that I would say is I regret not starting fitness earlier. Yeah. Starting my fitness business earlier. Because I'm 27 now. I've been doing it for 3 years. Literally 3 years this month. So at some point, because it's now June.
Yeah.
So 3 years this month. And I think, had I started earlier, I probably would have been in a better place mentally.
Yeah.
And I would have been in a better place in terms of money, in terms of I think my life would have been very different if I'd have done it earlier. We'll talk about why I started PTing. Where do you want to travel? If you do want to travel, so you don't want to work.
I want to go to Australia. I've always wanted to go to Australia.
Nice.
Typical.
What part of
British
Australia?
I just want to go travelling around Australia. That's my main place I want to go, but I'd want to go for a good 3 months or something.
You don't go to Australia for a week. Yeah, no. That's not worth it. Yeah, the flight's nearly a week, for God's sake. Yeah, okay.
Thailand and that seems fun. It's just not I'd prefer to go to Australia over anywhere else. Yeah,
you could do what other people do, and you could go from you could go to Australia, do a couple of weeks in Australia, and then go around kind of Southeast Asia. I feel like that's what a lot of people do, is they do it all at once.
Yeah.
They'll do Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and then maybe go to George. You remember George?
Yeah.
He was one of the PTs at JD. He's done exactly that. So he's in Vietnam at the moment, travelling around Thailand, Bali, all that place, and then he's going to go and live in Australia. As long as you don't live in Australia, because that's a long time gap. That's exciting. What made you want to become a level 3 personal trainer?
Since I started going to the gym when I was maybe 16, but I didn't go, I didn't properly get into actual fitness until a year ago. But I've always, when I did go to the gym, even not consistently, I just loved it. And I was like, this is just a place I really want to, I like fitness, really.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that people forget though a lot when it comes to the gym in general, is that people seem to forget that it's not necessarily about a specific goal.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about you going and looking wham.
Yeah.
Even though, your shoulders are much more defined than mine are. But, it's not necessarily about looking wham. And for some people it is.
Yeah.
Some people are bodybuilders, some people are powerlifters. Other people just enjoy going to the gym.
Yeah.
And getting away from life.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that people really don't consider sometimes, is how much people want to escape reality.
It's such a good place to just like put your headphones on and do.
It's gone off.
Whatever.
It's gone off. Oh, there we go. Now it's back. Say again. Escape reality.
Like you can just put your headphones on and you don't have to like live in whatever else you've got going on in your life. You can just sort of focus on what you're doing then.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's what, again, like I say, that's what people kind of don't consider sometimes, is that there is more to the gym than the gym.
Yeah.
It's not just about looking good, though. That's a big thing. My story then. So I've been a level 3 PT for 3 years. I really, really enjoy it. Or coming up to 3 years this year. I've worked in 2 different gyms. I've worked in a less commercial, more kind of community-based gym, and then obviously now quite a big commercial gym, and I really enjoy it. I have really bad imposter syndrome, if you know what that is. Do you know what imposter syndrome is?
Partially.
So imposter syndrome is where you just don't, but I think the way that I would describe it is that you just don't think you deserve something.
Yeah.
Like, although you've worked for it, you've earned it, you do deserve it, you just feel in your mind that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy of that kind of, you win, but you don't feel worthy. We'll dive into that in another episode, I'm sure. But so before that, and this is why I also say that I wish I'd got into fitness earlier, because when I left school, left sixth form, and I worked at McDonald's.
Okay.
Great job, by the way. Not even going to beef it. McDonald's pays quite well for convenience. They don't call it fast food anymore. It's like convenience food. But it pays quite well. Not back in the day. Ask me how much I got paid. 17-year-old Ryan working at McDonald's.
How much did you get paid?
Just guess. Put a guess out there.
Going like 7.
No, I wish. £4.35 an hour.
Yeah, okay, no.
When I joined the workforce, it was £4.35 an hour. And then, so I worked at McDonald's, I worked at Curry's. I've had so many jobs. My CV literally wouldn't fit across 2 pages. And that would just be the work experience. And then lots of shit happened. Joined the army in 2017, or applied to join the army, passed my selection, was about to get loaded onto phase 1. That all fell through. And then I was so lost. You don't actually know the story about me. No, right. So we've got to be very careful how I say this. But in 2018, I was working away from home, working at PGL.
Yeah.
And it was a really, 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 really crap time. Did some stuff I shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
If I'd have closed my eyes, I wouldn't have woken up. That's what the doctor said. And then my sister passed away.
Yeah.
Right. Because that year, 2018. I was messed up. Joined cadets as an instructor, love it. Still do that now, and again, that'll be something we probably talk about. Then my sister passed away in 2019, and then I was like, what do I do? So I signed up to be a PT. I signed up to do my PT course in July 2018. I didn't finish my PT course until the beginning of 2022.
Yeah.
Because Jess, my partner, who you met today.
Yeah.
She really pushed me into finishing it, but it took me nearly 4 years to finish my PT course. But it actually only took me about 4 months.
Yeah.
Then my sister passed away. I went self-employed, became a videographer, photographer, and didn't really make much money doing that. Started streaming on Twitch, just did everything.
Yeah.
And then I became a PT. And I wish at 20 years old, after the army had fallen through, I could have been like, yeah, okay, fine, I'm going to become a PT.
Yeah.
I really wish that I'd have done that rather than basically wasting the last 6 years of my life, or before that. So that was me. And now I really enjoy it. I think that there's something very special about running your own business, but being self-employed and not having to not having to listen to anybody.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I'm not very good at listening to people.
Do you think
we know this.
Do you think you want to be a self-employed PT, or do you want to work for a company and do just flat out hours, be told what to do, and PT?
I think for a while I want to be like self-employed. No,
Employed.
employed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I might want to go self-employed, but because I haven't actually started being a PT, I don't really know yet. It's one of those things you don't know how you're going to be at until you've actually done it and you're doing it. Yeah,
I think that, to be honest with you, I say this to everybody, all the newbies who come into JD, I always message them first, all the new people who come and work at JD. I always say, oh, look, if you need any help or advice, just let me know. I'm always around. I've only been in the game for 3 years, and of that 3 years, I've probably only been successful for the last year and a bit, realistically. Like, I think the last 18 months, even then, I've only really smashed it out the park this year.
Yeah.
So we're 5 months in the year, because technically it's June, but we're 5 months into the year. And I really think that it's only been now this year that I've really kind of doubled down on being a business person, because what people forget is, yes, you're a personal trainer, but you also have to be a business owner. And I think that's why I want this to be a business-esque podcast as well, because I think people forget that, you can be the best PT in the world, the absolute best PT in the world, but if you cannot run a business, you're screwed. Yeah. But your dad runs a business, right? Yeah. So, and you know how it works. Yeah. You're around that kind of environment. You've got a lot of friends who are PTs. Yeah. Well, I say you don't have many friends, but you've got a lot. You know a lot of people. I think that's the best way to kind of go. I've got a really itchy arm, and I can't stop itching it. And I guarantee you, for this whole video, I'm just going to be watching you do this. I'm not nervous. Yeah. I promise, I'm not nervous. So I think that's what a lot of people don't consider, is how much of a personal training business you have to run. Yeah. And like I say, you could be the worst coach in the world, but the best business owner will make a lot of money. And you could also be the best coach in the world and not make very much money, purely because you don't want to charge people a certain amount. You don't want to do this, you don't want to do that. Yeah. Anyway, talking about, wow, that was a lot of bottles. Talking about running a business, I've got a present for you. I don't know how that's caveated that at all. Smell that.
Wait, they smell really nice.
I know. Right, now, are you allergic to anything?
No.
Are you sure? You're not allergic to nuts?
I'm slightly allergic to gluten, but I kind of go with that.
There's no gluten in this because there's no flour in them.
How exciting.
Yeah, so you can have a cookie. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And tell me how good they are, because they absolutely slap. It's a fact. They're a bit cakey.
They're really good, though.
They're a bit salty. I'll put a bit of salt in. And they absolutely slap. Sorry, eating with my mouth open.
They're actually nice.
Thanks.
I don't know why I expected them not to be that nice, but...
Do you want to know what they are made of?
What?
Just peanut butter. Almost exclusively peanut butter. Peanut butter, granulated sugar. They're not healthy, right? But they are high protein. How many grams of protein do you think's in that?
I'm really bad at this game.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how.
I've already done that.
Yeah.
14 grams of protein.
Really?
14 grams of protein. It's 240 odd calories, in all fairness. But I also think what did it is it's Kinder Bueno protein powder from Perform, or whatever they call it. Like, not actually Kinder Bueno, because I think they'd get copyrighted. But hopefully we don't ever get copyrighted for this kind of stuff. But yeah, Kinder Bueno-esque. White chocolate Nutella thing. I don't know what they call it. But anyway, it's from Perform. And I think that's what makes it so good. But yeah, it's mainly peanut butter, granulated sugar, protein powder, and 2 eggs. Absolutely slaps. I love food. You don't have to eat the whole thing if you don't want to. Do you want me to put it away?
No, I really want that.
Okay.
I'm just going to be eating.
A bit of tea. Look at that. Wash it down with a tea. So, one thing I think I've realised. That was disgusting. I'm so sorry. Honestly.
Good now?
Yeah, no, I've just got snotty nose in it because I'm always ill. You'll notice this
You are ill actually quite a
all
lot.
the time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's not even like I'm sick again. It's like I am genuinely on death's door.
Maybe it's whatever you said last time, Mercury in retrograde.
Oh, Mercury being in retrograde. I don't think Mercury's in retrograde this month, though.
You just went around asking every single person you met if they were ill because you felt weird, so you thought it was because Mercury or whatever.
Yeah, well, I was feeling it was actually. I think actually it turns out it was a migraine aura, which I don't normally get migraine. I don't normally get auras for migraines because when you get a migraine, people have different symptoms. But it's like having a heart attack. Like, you're having a heart attack because it feels like an elastic band, and then your left arm goes numb. The same thing. So if you ever feel like that, you're having a heart attack. But if you have you can have an aura where you just feel a little bit under the weather, and then boom, migraine for 2 days. And yeah, I just thought it was more of a pseudoscience sort of. Oh, I don't think I'm feeling unwell. I think it's just because Mercury's in retrograde. No, I was really unwell, but I am always ill. I've actually, I've spoken to the doctors a few times, gotten some blood tests. Nothing's ever come back. But I did 3 years ago have a potential heart attack. Well, I was. So it was March 2022 because it was just before Jess and I got together. And I was working at a bar at the time, and then I called 111 because I was like. I thought I had COVID, and I had tested positive for COVID in the week, but because you could still work with COVID, and I told the work, I said, look, I've just done a COVID test, I've got COVID, and they're like, well, you've got to come into work. I was like, all right. So I did a COVID test again, went to hospital, or called 111, and I said to him, look, I've got a really tight chest, and my left arm's going numb. So I was like, man, I've been a first aider for like 14 years. I was like, that's a heart attack.
Yeah.
Call 111, and 111 like, yeah, so are you able to get to the hospital in the next 10 minutes, or should we send you an ambulance? And I was like, 10 minutes? You want me to drive, bearing in mind I can't drive, you want me to drive to the hospital?
I would have thought that's just like, because surely
Ambulance.
you're going to crash.
That's what I'm saying. So they called. I called my dad, who came and picked me up and dropped me off at the hospital, and he was really worried because I was presenting with proper heart attack symptoms. Saw the doctor. I was in there for 15 and a half hours. It went from having a heart attack to maybe having a PE, which is pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot, I think, in your lungs.
Yeah.
And then went to there's nothing wrong with me, and ever since then I've been unwell. Genuinely, ever since then, I've 3 weeks out of the 4.
Yeah.
I've got a cold. I've got blocked sinuses. I've got a migraine. I'm having to call in sick for work. I'm so fatigued that I can't get out of bed. Also, did you do your nails, or did somebody else do them? Because they are long.
I did my nails.
Jesus Christ,
I did my nails yesterday.
That is. We'll get onto that in a sec. But yeah, so I'm always ill. So if there's any health specialists who are listening to this, then hit me up.
Is it?
I would like private healthcare. I would like to go private because the NHS is just very stretched, and I'm a very weird case.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, and there's no diagnosis because I think that there's so many things that probably aren't actually a problem, but put together they are a problem.
They all seem like
I just present as someone who's got a cold 3 weeks out of the month, but I don't have a cold. I don't think. I thought it was hay fever. Because I've never suffered with hay fever, really.
Yeah.
But then the last couple of days, I've really itchy eyes as well. So maybe it is just hay fever. Maybe I'm just a bitch.
Or maybe you're just allergic to something that you don't know about.
I absolutely wish I was allergic to chocolate. Because this is what I was going to say about the cookies. I've been on a cut for the last 3 weeks. I went down to 86.5 kg the other week. I'm back up to 89. I've gained nearly 2 kg this week. Nearly 2 kg this week just from being sick. I thought I had. This is the other thing. Friday, thought I had tonsillitis.
From being sick.
I don't know because I tend to eat more when I'm sick. Like I tend to not snack necessarily, but I have it bigger portions.
Really, I just I can't get out of bed to do anything, so I just sort of don't eat.
I also think I maybe don't drink enough water, but I'd love to be able to do that. That's what I did last Thursday. I couldn't get out of bed, but I gained weight, and I don't really understand how it works, but. Even as a PT, don't understand how that works. But what I realised was I thought that I had tonsillitis the other day. Just one day, I think it was Thursday, I woke up, couldn't swallow. Throat was horrendously red. Friday morning, feeling a little bit under the weather still. Saturday, feeling a little bit better. And then Sunday, totally fine. So these things that I do tend to have come on really quick, but then also dissipate really quick. Anyway, enough about me. Those nails. How do you find training in nails?
I don't have an issue with it. People are always like, how do you train with nails? I mean, have you ever seen like gymnastics?
Yes, they did.
Like Jordan Childs.
Who's that?
She's a gymnast.
Well, I got that bit.
I think it's Jordan Childs that did the bars with like long nails. Like they were a bit shorter than this. Because she did the bars with long nails.
Because if I'm doing a lat pull down or a pull up, I'm cutting into myself.
No,
but you can't get a good grip like that, surely.
Well, I do.
Because that's how I would grip like that. But you're gripping like that.
Yeah, but the bar's like bigger than not that.
Because that's kind of like that. I guess that's more of a hook grip.
Yeah.
I think that's what they call that. I think that's a hook grip. I'm not sure. Yeah, because you put your thumb around and the hook grip's like that. But then unless it's like that, I don't bloody well know. But yeah, you're kind of like doing that.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I don't know.
What about boxing? Because I run a box fit class.
Yeah.
And a lot of the girls do come in with bloody nails like that. And then they've got these boxing gloves on and they're like, I can't punch really hard because I'll cut my hand open.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do boxing with these nails. If I was wanting to do like boxing classes, I'd just cut them down.
You tell them.
Yeah.
Ella, we're calling you out.
Huh?
There's a girl called Ella who does my classes who always has long nails on.
Some people are able to do it. I just would, I'd just end up with cuts all over myself.
Because they're not exactly. Do they fall off a lot?
So they're quite sharp.
Are they acrylic nails or are they fake nails?
No, they're acrylics.
I feel like we should shut that door properly.
But I only did them yesterday, so they're quite sharp still because I haven't finished doing them.
Have you got to file them down and everything?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got to do a design as well.
You're doing a design on them?
I'm going to do a design on them.
Well, if all else fails, mate, maybe you can become a nail tech. My nails, look at those.
Yeah, no, they're not nice.
They are horrendous.
They're classic boy nails.
Yeah, I just bite my nails too much, I think. That's the problem.
That's classic boy nails.
But I think that's another habit that I just can't get out of. I mean, going back to the whole eating thing and gaining weight, I just can't stop eating crap.
Yeah.
It's why I made those protein cookies, because I was like, look, if I'm going to have a cookie that's 240 calories, which is the same amount of calories-ish, maybe a little bit more, because the thing is they're quite high in fat, but it's healthy fat. Anyway, so if I'm going to have a cookie that is about 200 calories, I'm going to have one that's got 14 grams of protein in it.
Yeah.
And I just can't. I was talking to some people at the gym about this. I just cannot stop.
Yeah.
Just let me shut that door proper. So I feel better. Oh, there we go. I just cannot stop.
Yeah.
That's my problem. Is if I eat, it's not one thing. Like I couldn't just eat one cookie. Like I'm doing so well with only eating like half of one of those.
I don't know how people just like eat one or like some chocolate. If I'm eating chocolate, I'm eating a whole bar of chocolate.
That's my problem. That is my problem because I binge like a mother fudger. I started this cut because I was getting cyberbullied. Yeah. Which was great. And I don't use that term loosely. It didn't affect me that much, genuinely, but you could count it as cyberbullying. Yeah. I was getting absolutely bodied on TikTok Live. Yeah. And then I bought a cookie pie. Yeah. You know, like one of these like cookie dough, and then like nugget in the middle. Yeah. Bought one of these, ate the entire thing, threw it back up. Because, sorry, trigger warning, because that might trigger some people about EDs and stuff. But I just ate this entire thing, and then that was it. Yeah. You know, I just could not stop eating it. And I ate the whole. I was like, I'll only eat a little bit of it, and then I was like, no, I feel so sick, but I want to keep eating it. Yeah. So I said, look, I can't keep living a lifestyle like this because it's just not healthy. But that's my problem. My training is phenomenal. I like to think that I'm very strong. You know, I'm reasonably fit. You know.
Yeah, when you forced me to train legs with you, that was horrible.
That's what I'm saying. You know, like it's a good day, and my training is really good, but my nutrition is definitely not very good.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing. And talking about training, what are you training for?
I'm not really training for any. Like, I just want to
Other than the fact you want abs.
Yeah, I want
It's a
abs.
holiday.
I really want abs, but it's still not going.
You've got abs, but there we go.
I need like more. Like, have you seen Mandy Pandy on TikTok? I don't know what her last name is.
Mandy Pandy.
But she's like blonde. She's got such good abs. I did.
Proper like
I'll show you
six-pack
at some
abs.
point. Yeah. The thing's gone off again.
Oh, bloody hell. Tell you what, this laptop, he's having a moment. There we are. Look at that.
But no, like,
Teething issues
she's
on that.
just. Yeah, I want abs like hers. But no, I just want to be like confident in myself because I spent a lot of time like some days I'm like, wow, I look really good, and then other days I'm like, I hate myself so much. I'm like, I need to wear like hoodies, jumpers, like I can't wear.
I don't think that'll go away.
Yeah, I know
I'm
it
gonna
won't, but like since I've started training, I've been more confident because like even if I'm like, oh, but I don't look as good as I want to, it's like, yeah, but that's because, you know, you're kind of gluten intolerant. You ate a whole pizza earlier.
Bring it on yourself.
Yeah, I really do.
I take it back. I think it will go. The thing is, I think a lot of people, professional bodybuilders,
Yeah.
you know, new gym goers, they all have a little bit of body dysmorphia. And some days you can feel absolutely phenomenal, top of the world, best thing in the world. And then other times you just can't even face yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I get that, you know, I understand that. I think some days I'll look at myself and I'll go, whoa, what an absolute unit. Other days I'll be like, wow, what an absolute slob.
Yeah.
He looks like Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
I think that is, it doesn't matter how confident you are, I think that is consistent.
Yeah.
I think that there's always going to be this consistent, I think it goes back to imposter syndrome. What I'm going to try and do all the time is get some different guests on. Like I said at the beginning of this, I want to get different guests on. And I definitely want to talk to maybe a therapist or a psychotherapist, whatever they are, psychologist, who can understand the imposter syndrome, because I think that's a big thing for the majority of people. Especially, you've got to think, you know, you're looking at a lot of people who are in the gym who are really training hard and stuff like that, are very high self-worth individuals, I think. Like, I think you value yourself slightly more. Don't get me wrong, I'm not attacking anybody, but I think that there's a good percentage of people who will value themselves more because they go to the gym, or they go to the gym because they value themselves slightly more. What I could never do is totally let myself go. Yeah. In inverted commas. I could never, and you know, injury and stuff like that I get, but you know, I know people who even they can't train, but they're still trying to eat clean, and they're still trying to do everything they can to maintain a healthy body and a healthy mindset. I think that people who go to the gym are generally going to value themselves slightly more. Yeah. So they put themselves not necessarily on a pedestal, but they feel like they should be better than they are. Yeah. Because of what they're doing. Yeah. And then they realise, they look at themselves, and sometimes they just don't feel as confident, and then they go, body dysmorphia smash. Yeah. And then boom, I've been training for 6 years and I look phenomenal, and boom, now I feel like a slob, and do you know what, I just feel like I've been doing this for 6 years, I should have been doing better, yada yada. And I think it's very easy to fall into that trap of body confidence and stuff like that.
Whereas you think, like, because like social media, there's so much, you only ever see like the best lighting, how they're posed and everything like that, but because they're always posting, you always see it. So you think, you sort of, in your head, you go, well, maybe I should look like that, you know, that's how you're meant to look all the time.
So, social media is one of the best, but also probably the worst thing that's ever happened to humanity, let alone to the fitness world. I mean, you've got to think, you know, back in the, even now, filming a video in the gym, and you watch someone like Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler and all of these people, you know, training back in the day, and, you know, they were using a bit of momentum, but they were absolutely huge. Now, granted, they're not natural. Obviously, they're not natural, but they're training with really high intensity, and now you've got this crowd on TikTok who go, well, your elbows weren't at 37.4 degrees, and you didn't actually lock your elbows back, and you didn't roll your shoulders, and you know what, you didn't actually get the permanent tension on all of this stuff. And then you look at people on the internet, and they'll be in the gym, right, and they'll be in their string, and they'll go, I can do this, I bet you can't, or they'll whatever, and they will post this stuff, and they influence, hence name influencer, and they influence people into thinking a certain way, and feeling a certain way, and it creates an image of people that I just don't think is realistic. It's like people come into my TikTok live all the time, and they go, well, you're not a coach, well, maybe you need a coach, all this kind of stuff. I agree that everybody should have a coach, at least once in their life. I think that everybody needs a coach. Best coaches have coaches, but also I think that the internet has plagued people's mind on what somebody looks like. Like you say, people look amazing. They've got abs. They look phenomenal. But that's because the lighting is great. They're probably on some sort of PED. If nothing else, a bit of an oral PED to make them look firmer. You've also got to think that these guys, it's their full-time job to coach and stuff like this, and be on the internet. And they've also been training for years and years and years. And sometimes it's genetics. Sometimes it's performance enhancement. Sometimes lots of different things. Sometimes, you know what, it is just down to the person being dedicated and absolutely smashing it out. But I think there's too much on the internet now that people just expect everybody to look a certain way. And when I say I'm a PT, people are like, oh yeah, you got big biceps, but you look fat. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's because I'm a real PT. You can't be cut and look like Zac Efron in bloody Baywatch 24/7. 365. As much as I'd like to.
Yeah, it would be lovely.
Do you follow any TikTok influencers, or any influencers that you specifically think are actually really good?
I follow a lot, but I just love some of them, like McKenna Crisp.
I know the name.
I love McKenna Crisp. He's so cute, and he's just adorable, really.
McKenna Crisp and Dom. Now Dom's. I mean, he does fitness, but I think he started as not so much of it. I don't really know. I only know him through McKenna. Because I've heard the name going around, McKenna and Dom.
Yeah.
I've heard, because they're a bit like. I would assume that they're very similar to people like Greg and Hattie, and Dave Trains and Lucy Lifts. Don't know if you've ever watched them.
Mate, I probably have, yeah.
Dave Trains owns what's his pre-workout called? Overdrive, and Lucy Lifts is his partner. They broke up, but they got back together. Obviously, you've got people in the fitness industry or fitness scene like Jack's Fitness, and AB, George Pollage, or George Pollett, I think is how you actually say his name, Ryan Price. What kind of content do McKenna make? Does McKenna and Dom make? Do they make content together? Sorry.
Huh?
Do they make content together?
They've started to, but it's mainly McKenna started as a gym influencer, and he still is a gym influencer, but he's also going traveling with Dom now, so he's just sort of now he's still a gym influencer, but he's also
traveling
generally just he's just lovely.
That tends to happen. I think that happened with AB. AB obviously went from your family and posting silly little things in his car and going to the gym and training about, talking about the gym, to now, he's just come back from Monaco, he's now traveling, he's, making content with Chip and, Cal Freezy and all these other now YouTubers, that I think for some people, gym talk and gym influencing, I'm going to use that name, gym influencing, is a really good in.
I don't know what you're listening to, but I can't hear it.
It might be that. I think gym influencing is a really good in for a lot of people. I think that's the biggest thing sometimes, is that they might they might be very, very interested in the
Yeah.
gym, but I think that there's only so much you can do
Yeah.
within the fitness space before you need to expand. Same thing with any business. You know, you can only make a certain amount of shorts
Yeah.
before you need to move on to sports bras
Yeah.
or socks.
Yeah.
You know, there's only a certain amount of things you can do until you've got to diversify your business. What else was on this topic list that I've got here? My marathon.
Oh yeah.
I ran a marathon. I mean, I guess you could call it running a marathon. I don't know. Would you class it as running? It took me 6.5 hours. I did the London Marathon recently. Charlotte signed up.
No, I haven't.
I've signed up twice. She doesn't actually know, but I have signed up twice for the London Marathon next year.
Can you imagine? I don't think I can even run a 5k.
You did ask me though. You did say you wanted to start doing high rocks.
I did, yeah.
You did say you wanted to
That's
start
because
doing
my
high
friend
rocks.
was like, Charlotte, do you want to do high rocks? And I was like, that's such a good idea. And then I had one high rocks training session and I decided it wasn't such a good idea.
Because we did a couple of hybrid sessions.
Yeah.
And that was all right. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it. So I ran a marathon, did that, ran a half marathon, smashed the half marathon to be fair. But yeah, completed the London Marathon, whether I could class it as running. I actually still have a pain in my adductor from that. It's
How long
now
ago was
nearly
that now? Yeah.
a month and a half.
That seems like an issue now.
No, because it was the end of April, wasn't it? So it was only about 5 weeks ago, really, when you think about it. But I pulled my adductor probably 6 miles in, just before we got to Cutty Sark. Because I went out there flying. Now, bearing in mind, the longest run I had done before this marathon was a half marathon, and the longest run before the half marathon was 2 18k runs. So, you know, I hadn't really trained specifically for the marathon. And I think 2 weeks before the half marathon, I benched 130 again for 2. And then the week after the half marathon, I squatted 150. So, you know, I think, which isn't that impressive in my opinion, 150, but
I think that's very impressive.
no, I definitely should be able to do more than that. Especially because of my bench. But so I ran the marathon, walked half of it. Took me about 2 hours to get down Embankment. There's photos. I'll put photos on the screen, I'm sure. But yeah, or you can go to my Instagram. But yeah, I think I pulled my adductor really early on, and I was in a lot of pain. A lot of pain.
Yeah.
A lot of pain.
A lot of pain, yeah.
It wasn't just, that's a bit uncomfortable. It was like, oh my gosh, I actually could not lift my leg more than 6 inches off the ground. I couldn't even pick my leg up. I had to for a point down Embankment, I was holding on to the side. I had a paramedic come and speak to me and they were like, you know, how you doing? I'm like, mate, I'm absolutely chin strapped. Absolutely boogered. And I was hobbling, and it took me 2 hours to do 6 miles. I think that is where I fudged up. Is it took me 2 hours to walk 6 miles. Now, normally, which isn't actually, when you think about it, that bad, because you're normally running 6 miles in an hour.
Yeah.
So actually, what are you running? I can normally do 10k in an hour, which is about, how many is 10k? About 8 miles?
I have no clue.
Well, 3 miles, yeah, so 3 miles is a 5k. So it probably took me about 3 hours, 3.5 hours to walk 6 miles, because I had to keep walking, stopping. And it was horrendous. I have entered the London Marathon 5 times for next year. And I will need to lose a lot of weight for that and get the miles into the legs. But I am taking a little bit of time away from running because I am absolutely ruined. But high rocks.
I want to do it. Oh my God.
Do you actually want to do one?
I want to do it. I just know it. Like, I think, that'd be such a good idea. And then I do a high rocks training session. I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah, but that's stuff. When we did a session, I pushed myself way too fast. We should start off really slow. Like not nearly a half high rock sim.
Yeah.
You know, it should be like maybe a few intervals on, wall balls to ski erg or something. It doesn't need to be, absolutely.
Yeah, well then we tried to do this sled push and we looked at up how much weight it was and
Oh, God,
Just
is it like
decided that was-
140
yeah.
kilograms or something?
Yeah, it's like 150.
That's
And then we decided that just wouldn't work.
I just don't think that sled is very... Not very good. I don't think it's very accurate because it's got... I don't know if it's anything like the High Rock sleds. Maybe we should go to Everlast and try a little training session there. That would be good fun. Little gym day out, little flex appeal on tour. So now the question is, do you think you can do it with no training?
A high rocks with no training?
Yeah. Or a marathon with no training?
No.
There's a big trend going around at the moment of, I did this with no training. Let me try and do a high rocks with no training. Or in fact, I saw a lot of people say, I ran a marathon with no training. Man was a footballer.
Yeah.
And he went to the gym 6 times a week.
Yeah.
So I think now let me preface this by saying my half marathon time for the London Landmarks half was 2:09. My half marathon time for the full marathon was 2:20. I should have finished that marathon in 4:40 if I was aiming for a negative split. So I was aiming for a 2:20 half and then a 2:10 second half.
Yeah.
Obviously that didn't happen. But even with that pulled adductor, I managed to do a half marathon in 2:20.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't struggle. The hardest thing about the marathon for me was the adductor.
Yeah.
Had I not hurt myself, my auntie saw me 4 times around the course.
Yeah.
And she said, "You're looking really strong, you're looking really good." I said, "Mate, I can barely walk." She said, "Yeah, but you look really good." I wasn't out of breath. Obviously, I was sweating. It was like 20 degrees on that day.
Yeah.
I was sweating, but I wasn't necessarily out of breath. I was able to overtake a lot of people. I started off pretty fast. I started off way too fast, to be fair. I think my first kilometre was about 5 minutes per kilometre, which I was aiming for 5:47 to 6. But going back to the original thing, that was with very little specific training. I think that what people seem to forget is that if you train in any way, shape or form, you have a level of fitness.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, if you've never ran 5k, I probably wouldn't enter a marathon.
Yeah.
But for me, I'd only ran 3 18ks or two or 3 18ks. I think I'll have to look at my Strava. 2 18ks, a 16k, a 15k, and a couple of 10ks, and then the half.
Yeah.
That was all I had done on the build up to the marathon. And other than the fact that I was injured, which is the reason why I got injured as well, I think, is not necessarily the lack of training, but it was the lack of specifically training the adductor and specifically looking for hip strength and stuff like that. I think that with no training, like having never stepped in a gym, no chance.
Yeah.
But if you go to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week and you follow a good fitness regime, doing something without training that's not a thing. So I think you could do a high rocks. I think it would take you a long time.
I think it would take me far too long.
But I think you could do it because you could do the ski erg.
Yeah.
The only thing you'd struggle with is the cardio aspect, I think.
Yeah.
But it's only a 1k run. It's not far, really, when you think about it. 1,000 meters is not far.
Yeah.
But and you know, if you're a competent runner, you can run a 5k in 25 minutes. So, you know, that's 5k, that's 1k every 5 minutes. So you could probably do a 5k, a 1k in 5 minutes, and then take your time on the ski erg. Or you could take your time on the wall balls or something like that. Obviously, wall balls are last, but you know, there's definitely ways that you can do it with no training.
Yeah.
But I'm disliking, what I am not liking on the interwebs, on the gym talk, is this whole no training malarkey of I watched this guy and he ran a marathon he ran the London Marathon in something like 4 hours, less than 4 hours, and he was like, "Oh, no training." I'm like, "Yeah, but you do play football twice a week, and you go to the gym 4, 5, 6 times a week, so your general level of fitness is great."
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know about that.
So because football's such like a cardio.
Yeah, I mean, you
just
have
running
to be
around a pitch for 90 minutes.
I played football with my cadets every week.
Yeah.
We did a little sports night and I played football. Holy guacamole. I ran up and down the pitch twice and I was like,
Yeah.
I was absolutely chin strap, mate. Absolutely ruined.
Yeah, football's such a cardio sport. Like, you can't say you'd play football and, I couldn't run this far, but you play football, so you could, realistically.
Yeah, but it's the same thing when you go into doing the high rocks. You know, I think that a little bit of specific training.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't need to train for it for months and months. I mean, enter me into a Hilux and I'll show you just how crap it is and how wrong I am. I'm always, this is one thing I realise about the internet, is a lot of people are not happy to be proved wrong. I love being proven wrong. I love people telling me that I'm wrong. I love people telling me that I am an idiot.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
Okay.
But also, I don't mind people saying, calling me out. And I also don't mind eating my words and saying, do you know what? I'll go and do a Hilux now with no training. And do you know what? I did DNF'd. Yeah. I'm so happy to do that, because I'm not just going to chat shit and then not follow through on it or not be educated on it. It's the same thing with being a personal trainer. I'm not God. I don't know everything in the world. Sometimes I have to Google things. I like to read medical journals and stuff like that, like on PubMed. I like to read the newest research on different things, but I'm not God. I don't know everything. I think that's one thing that people struggle with on the internet. Quick little break. I'm just gonna check how long we've been going for.
Okay.
Oh, 53 minutes.
Oh Christ.
Jesus. I think we can wrap that up then, Nelly. I think we can wrap that up. 53 minutes.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Right, I've just checked how long we've been doing this for. 53 minutes. Jesus Christ on the motorbike. That'll do then, I think.
Yeah.
That'll do the job. I don't know. Have you got anything else you want to add?
No, not really.
Fantastic.
Excited about my holiday.
Yeah, that's soon, isn't it? Wednesday even.
Yeah.
Lovely. This will probably be out when you're on holiday.
Yeah, it probably will be.
Well, fantastic. Look at that. First episode, 53 minutes down. That's nearly an hour.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I didn't struggle to talk for that much. I talk a lot, though.
You talk a lot. You could talk for hours.
This could be a 4-hour thing.
Yeah.
I'd be great at reading audiobooks.
Ooh.
No? I could read an audiobook.
Yeah, I think you could, yeah.
I've always been told I should start a podcast.
Yeah.
For this exact reason. A, really funny. B, really amazing. C, got a face for radio. I.e. ugly. You got a face for the radio.
I quite enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, what a vibe. So here we are. First episode down. Hopefully we'll get a couple of people in for the next one. So I would like to, like I said at the beginning of this, I would like to get lots of guests on. People who are subject matter experts, friends, other people who work in the industry, sports people, athletes, everything. So if you have any suggestions, I don't know if you can comment on Spotify, but do follow us on Instagram. We have the Flex Appeal podcast on Instagram, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There. That is pretty cool, isn't it? Come on.
Yeah, it is.
And that's it. And that's it. This is great. It's like a dream come true. Any final remarks? Departing words?
Don't think so.
Phenomenal. Well, I don't know how any of this shit works. If you can follow on Spotify, follow us. Share this to your story and tag Flex Appeal Podcast, because maybe we'll give you something. Who knows? Maybe we'll do merch. I mean, that on a t-shirt would look pretty sick.
That would be quite cool, actually.
Be honest with you. Yeah, cracking. That's it. That's the end of the first episode. Thank you all so much for watching, for listening. What?
I just don't...
She's getting nervous at the end. It's the end now. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching and listening and commenting and just being awesome people. Share the podcast. We are going to be the best podcast on the internet in the fitness space. I am convinced. Yeah. See you in the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.